The emergency lights flickered red across the bridge of the Coalition command station. Admiral Kate Morrison stared at the massive display screen showing the Sol system. One by one, the green dots representing Earth's defense stations turned dark. The blue signals from the planet's major cities went silent. Everything was dying. "Ma'am, we've lost contact with New York," reported Lieutenant Gary Webb from his communications post. His voice shook slightly. "Chicago went dark 3 minutes ago. Los Angeles? Los Angeles is gone too." Kate felt her heart sink deeper with each report. She had worked with the humans for 15 years. They were tough, smart, and never gave up easily. But even humans had limits. The Vorth Empire had brought 300 warships to Earth's doorstep. No one could survive that kind of assault. The Coalition Council chamber buzzed with worried voices. Representatives from 12 different species sat around the curved table. The Zephyrian delegates hissed softly among themselves, their scales shifting from blue to deep purple with concern. The crystalline Nexari representatives glowed dimmer than usual, which always meant bad news. "The humans fought bravely," said Council Leader Varix, his reptilian head swaying slowly. "But we must face reality. Earth has fallen. The Vorth Empire has claimed another world." Kate wanted to argue, but the evidence was clear. Every orbital platform around Earth had stopped transmitting. The massive shield generators that protected the planet's surface showed no energy readings. Even the moon base had gone silent. 3 billion humans lived on that world, and now there was nothing but radio static. Captain Jake Sullivan felt sick as he watched his home planet grow smaller on the rear display. His ship, the heavy cruiser Defiance, was one of only 12 human vessels that escaped the attack. Behind him, Earth burned under Vorth bombardment. Massive alien ships hung in orbit like dark metal spiders, firing energy beams at the surface below. "Sir, we're receiving transmission from the Meridian and the Liberty," said his communications officer, Amy Foster. Her usually cheerful voice sounded hollow. "They're requesting orders." Jake looked around his bridge. These people had trusted him to lead them to safety, but what could he tell them? Where could they go? Every human colony was too small and weak to fight the Vorth. Earth had been humanity's strongest world, their best hope. Now it was gone. "Set course for the Kepler station," Jake finally said. "We'll regroup with whatever coalition forces we can find." His tactical officer, Lisa Park, turned from her station. "Captain, what about the people down there?" "We can't just leave them." "There's no one left to save," Jake replied, hating every word. He had grown up in Denver. His sister lived in Miami. His parents were retired in Phoenix. All of those cities had stopped transmitting hours ago. The Vorth didn't take prisoners. They never had. Engineer Danny Rodriguez wiped sweat from his forehead as he checked the engine readings. "Sir, we took some damage during the escape. Nothing critical, but we'll need repairs soon." Jake nodded. "Do what you can, Danny. We need to stay operational." The bridge fell quiet except for the soft hum of ship systems. Outside the windows, stars twinkled peacefully as if nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Humanity had just lost its home world. Back at Coalition Command, the emergency session continued. Representatives argued about what to do next. Some wanted to send rescue ships to Earth. Others insisted it was too dangerous. The Vorth would destroy any vessel that came near their new conquest. "We should prepare for refugee assistance," suggested Ambassador Keelan of the Nexari. Her crystal form pulsed with soft white light. "Surely some humans escaped in ships or stations." "A few thousand at most," replied Counselor Vex, a tall Zephyrian with dark green scales. "The Vorth were thorough. They always are." Kate listened to the debate but couldn't focus. She kept thinking about Commander Rachel Torres, who had been her liaison with Earth Command. Rachel was tough, smart, and had a daughter starting college. Was she dead now? Were they all dead? The main screen shifted to show a new signal. A Vorth command ship was broadcasting from Earth orbit. The alien commander appeared on screen, his gray skin marked with red war paint. The Vorth looked like hairless humans, but bigger and crueler. Their eyes were solid black and their teeth were sharp like a shark's. "People of the galaxy," the Vorth commander spoke in perfectly translated language. "The world called Earth has been conquered. The humans who called it home are no more. Let this be a lesson to any who would resist the Vorth Empire. We take what we want. We destroy what opposes us. We are inevitable." The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Several representatives looked sick. The Nexari ambassador's light dimmed to almost nothing. Even the usually confident Zephyrians seemed shaken. "It's official then," said Council Leader Varix. "Earth has fallen. We must focus on protecting our remaining worlds." Kate felt numb as she walked back to her quarters. In the corridors, she passed other Coalition officers. They looked lost, confused. Humanity had been their allies for decades. Human ships had fought beside them in 3 major wars. Human scientists had shared technology freely. Human diplomats had helped negotiate peace treaties. Now they were gone. In her private office, Kate pulled up files on her computer. Human colony reports, trade agreements, scientific papers, so much knowledge and culture, probably lost forever. She opened a message from her friend Rachel Torres, sent just 2 days ago. Rachel had been excited about a new defense project, something about underground facilities and backup plans. Kate almost smiled at the memory. Humans always had backup plans. They planned for everything, even things that seemed impossible. But not even humans could plan for 300 Vorth warships. Her door chimed softly. Kate looked up to see Lieutenant Webb standing in the entrance. "Ma'am, we're receiving scattered signals from human ships throughout the sector. Most are heading for Coalition stations, requesting asylum." "How many ships?" Kate asked. "Maybe 20 or 30 total. Small vessels, mostly. A few military cruisers like Captain Sullivan's group?" Kate nodded sadly. 30 ships from a species that once controlled dozens of star systems. It was the end of human space power. The refugees would be cared for, but humanity as a galactic force was finished. Outside her window, stars continued their ancient dance. Somewhere among them, Earth still existed, but the world that had given birth to humanity was now controlled by their enemies. The planet where humans first looked up at the sky and dreamed of traveling to other worlds belonged to the Vorth Empire. The galaxy felt much darker than it had that morning. 200 feet below the Colorado Mountains, Colonel Maria Santos sat in front of a wall of computer screens. The command center hummed quietly around her, filled with the soft sounds of electronics and air recycling systems. Above ground, the Vorth Empire thought they controlled a dead world. They were wrong. Maria watched the alien ships on her displays. 37 Vorth vessels now orbited Earth, their crews probably celebrating another easy victory. They had no idea that every move they made was being recorded by hidden sensors. Every transmission they sent was being intercepted and decoded. The humans they thought they had destroyed were very much alive. "Status report," Maria said to the man sitting beside her. Lieutenant Colonel Ben Hayes looked up from his tablet. "All underground cities are secure. Population count shows 2.8 billion people safely relocated. Food and water systems are running normally. Air recycling is at 96% efficiency." Maria nodded. 2 years of secret construction had paid off. When their long-range sensors first detected Vorth scout ships at the edge of the solar system, Earth's leaders had made a difficult choice. Instead of trying to fight the enemy in space, they would let them land and then trap them on the surface. Major Ryan Carter approached from the communications section. "Ma'am, we're receiving signals from scattered human ships. Captain Sullivan's group just reached the outer system. They think Earth is destroyed." "Good," Maria replied. "Let them think that for now. We need the galaxy to believe Earth has fallen. The Vorth have to feel completely safe." Captain Nicole Thompson, the intelligence officer, pulled up new data on her screen. "The aliens are establishing base camps in major city areas. They're using the subway tunnels for supply storage. They have no idea those tunnels connect to our transport network." Maria smiled for the first time in days. The Vorth were making exactly the mistakes her team had hoped for. They were treating Earth like any other conquered world, but Earth was different. Humans had been preparing for this invasion since the first warning signs appeared. The evacuation had taken 18 months. Every major city on Earth had been quietly emptied, while construction crews built vast underground complexes. The subway systems were expanded into a planet-wide network of hidden passages. Most people thought they were just upgrading the transportation system. Only a few hundred knew the real purpose. "Show me New York," Maria said. The main screen switched to a view from cameras hidden throughout Manhattan. Vorth soldiers walked through empty streets, their gray uniforms and black body armor making them look like metal insects. They carried energy weapons and wore helmets that covered most of their faces. Some stood guard while others moved equipment from their landing ships. "They've taken over Times Square as a command post," Nicole reported. 1,500 soldiers stationed in the area. They're using the old police headquarters as their communication center. Maria studied the enemy positions. The Vorth were efficient but predictable. They always followed the same patterns when occupying a new world. Set up command posts in central locations. Use existing buildings when possible. Establish supply lines through major transportation routes. It worked well on most planets, but Earth had been modified specifically to exploit these habits. What about the holographic projectors? Maria asked. Ryan checked his systems. All units are functioning perfectly. The aliens saw exactly what we wanted them to see during the attack. Burning buildings, fleeing crowds, communication breakdowns. They have no reason to suspect the cities were already empty. The deception had been the most difficult part of the plan. Creating realistic battle damage without actually destroying the cities required months of preparation. Special effects teams from movie studios worked with military engineers to design projection systems that could fool enemy sensors. When the Vorth attacked, they were firing at ghosts. Ma'am, we're getting reports from observation posts worldwide, Ben said. The Vorth have landed forces on every continent. Total count is approximately 40,000 troops. 40,000, Maria repeated. To control a planet of 3 billion people. They really do think we're all dead. The arrogance of the Vorth Empire had always been their weakness. They conquered through overwhelming force, but they never expected real resistance after their initial attacks. Species that survived the first assault usually surrendered immediately. Humans were different, but the Vorth didn't understand that yet. Nicole pulled up communication logs. We're intercepting their command frequencies. They're reporting complete success to the Empire fleet. No organized resistance. No military responses. They've classified Earth as a standard occupation zone. Perfect, Maria said. Ryan, prepare a secure transmission to Captain Sullivan's group. Use the emergency frequency we established last year. Tell them to maintain radio silence and await further orders. Yes, ma'am. Should I tell them about the underground cities? Not yet. Jake's a good captain, but his crew is probably being monitored by coalition forces. We can't risk the information spreading until we're ready for the next phase. Maria stood and walked to the strategic display table. A three-dimensional map of Earth showed the positions of Vorth forces in red and human observation posts in blue. The blue dots vastly outnumbered the red ones. Every major installation the aliens had established was being watched by hidden cameras and sensors. Ben, what's the status of our manufacturing facilities? All 7 underground factories are operational. We're producing modified weapons and equipment using captured Vorth technology. The engineering teams have made significant progress reverse engineering their energy systems. And our special project? Dr. Helen Wright reports that the computer virus is ready for deployment. We just need access to a Vorth command terminal. Maria nodded. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The Vorth thought they had conquered Earth, but they had actually walked into the largest trap in human history. Now came the difficult part, waiting for the right moment to spring it. Nicole, I want detailed surveillance on all Vorth officers. Learn their routines, their weaknesses, their communication patterns. When we start the resistance operations, I want to know exactly how they'll respond. Already working on it, ma'am. The major commanders follow very predictable schedules. They rotate guard shifts every 8 hours. Supply convoys run the same routes each day. They're not taking any security precautions beyond basic patrols. They think they're occupying a graveyard, Ryan added. Why would dead people fight back? Maria returned to her command chair. Outside, the Vorth Empire was probably celebrating another successful conquest. Their ships were moving into permanent orbital positions. Ground forces were settling into long-term occupation duties. Everything was going exactly as she had hoped. Ma'am, Ben said quietly, the people in the underground cities are asking questions. They want to know when they can return to the surface. Some are getting restless. Tell them soon, Maria replied. Tell them their patience is helping save not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. The Vorth Empire has to believe they've won completely. Once they bring their main fleet assets into the system, we'll show them how wrong they are. She looked at the tactical display one more time. 40,000 Vorth soldiers against nearly 3 billion humans, hidden factories producing advanced weapons, a planet-wide network of secret tunnels and observation posts, and, most importantly, an enemy that had no idea what was really happening. The Vorth had declared Earth fallen. Soon Maria would show them the difference between fallen and waiting. Sergeant Alex Parker crouched in the maintenance tunnel beneath downtown Los Angeles. Through a small camera, he watched Vorth soldiers loading supplies into what used to be City Hall. The aliens moved with military precision, but they had no idea that every step they took was being observed. Team 2 in position, Alex whispered into his radio. Confirm 38 targets in the building. Copy that, Team 2, came Maria Santos's voice through his earpiece. You are clear to proceed. Remember, make it look like equipment failure. Alex smiled grimly. After 6 weeks of careful observation, the Resistance was finally ready to begin active operations. The Vorth had grown comfortable on Earth. They followed the same routines every day, used the same supply routes, and posted guards in predictable patterns. Tonight, that overconfidence would cost them. He motioned to the 3 people behind him. Lieutenant Sam Foster carried a bag of special explosives, designed to mimic power system overloads. Corporal Janet Bell had hacking equipment to access Vorth computer systems. Private Mike Chen brought climbing gear for quick escapes through the tunnel networks. Janet, you have 15 minutes to plant the virus, Alex said. Sam, set the charges on the power generators. Mike, watch the exits. If anything goes wrong, we disappear into the tunnels. The team moved through the maintenance shafts with practiced silence. Above them, the Vorth continued their work, completely unaware that humans were moving through the building's hidden spaces. The aliens had never encountered a species that could hide so effectively on their own planet. 3,000 miles away, Captain Jake Sullivan sat in his quarters aboard the Defiance. His ship was docked at a coalition station near the Centauri system, along with 22 other surviving human vessels. The crews were being processed as refugees, but Jake felt like a deserter. Sir, we're receiving a transmission. Amy Foster called from the communication station. It's on the old emergency frequency from Earth Defense Command. Jake's heart jumped. Impossible. Earth Defense Command was destroyed. The signal is definitely authentic, sir. Military encryption, proper codes, everything checks out. Jake rushed to the bridge. Could someone have survived? The Vorth had bombarded every major city, destroyed all the orbital platforms, and silenced every communication array. But the signal was real. Put it through, he ordered. The screen flickered, then showed a familiar face. Colonel Maria Santos appeared in the transmission, looking tired but very much alive. Jake had worked with her during the border conflicts 5 years ago. She was one of the toughest officers in Earth's military. Captain Sullivan, Maria said, I'm glad to see you made it out safely. I need you to listen carefully and ask no questions until I'm finished. Jake stared at the screen in amazement. Maria, how are you alive? We saw Earth burning. Earth is not what it appears to be, Maria continued. The Vorth occupation is proceeding exactly as we planned. We need your ships to maintain their current position and wait for further orders. Do not attempt to contact Earth directly. Do not inform Coalition Command about this transmission. Planned? Jake repeated. What do you mean planned? I'll explain everything when it's safe to do so. For now, trust me and keep your people ready. We're going to need every ship when the real fighting begins. The transmission ended, leaving Jake staring at a blank screen. His crew looked at him with confused expressions. Lisa Park was the first to speak. Sir, if Colonel Santos is alive, maybe other people survived too. Maybe Earth isn't completely lost. That's what I'm thinking, Jake replied. But if there are survivors, why haven't they contacted the Coalition? Why are they staying hidden? Danny Rodriguez pulled up system charts on his workstation. Could be they're planning something. Santos was always good at strategy. Maybe she's got a plan to hit back at the Vorth. Jake considered the possibilities. Maria Santos was brilliant, but fighting the Vorth with whatever forces remained on Earth seemed impossible. The aliens had 300 ships in orbit and 40,000 troops on the ground. Even if thousands of humans had survived, they would be vastly outnumbered. Back on Earth, the first resistance operations were showing results. Alex Parker's team had successfully planted explosives and computer viruses in the Los Angeles Command Center. Similar teams were working in New York, London, Tokyo, and 15 other cities. Each group struck precisely and then vanished into the tunnel networks. Report, Maria said as she reviewed the night's activities from her command center. Ryan Carter consulted his tablet. 18 successful operations across 6 continents. No casualties on our side. The Vorth are reporting equipment malfunctions and communication disruptions, but they don't suspect sabotage yet. Good. What about the virus installations? Nicole Thompson checked her computer screens. Janet Bell's team planted the software successfully. We now have access to Vorth systems in Los Angeles, Sydney, and Cairo. The virus is spreading through their network exactly as Dr. Wright predicted. Excellent. How are the Vorth responding to the equipment failures? They're bringing in replacement gear from their ships. Ben Hayes reported. Standard procedure for technical problems. They still think they're dealing with normal mechanical breakdowns. Maria nodded with satisfaction. The genius of the plan was its subtlety. Instead of dramatic attacks that would alert the Vorth to organized resistance, the operations looked like random system failures. The aliens would waste time and resources trying to fix problems that didn't really exist. Phase 2 begins tomorrow night, Maria announced. I want teams ready to hit supply convoys. Make it look like opportunistic raids by desperate survivors. The Vorth need to think they're dealing with scattered refugees, not organized resistance. Over the next week, the Ghost War escalated. Vorth supply trucks broke down on empty highways, their engines mysteriously failing after invisible saboteurs cut fuel lines. Communication towers stopped working when hidden humans accessed control systems. Guard posts lost power during shift changes, creating brief windows of confusion that resistance teams exploited perfectly. The aliens grew frustrated but not alarmed. Their reports to the fleet described normal occupation difficulties, old human equipment breaking down, minor supply problems, communication glitches. They requested additional spare parts and technical personnel, but no combat reinforcements. Lieutenant Colonel Ben Hayes smiled as he read the intercepted messages. They're asking for engineers, not soldiers. They really think it's just technical problems. Perfect, Maria replied. The longer they believe that, the more time we have to prepare for the real war. Sergeant Alex Parker led his team through the subway tunnels beneath Manhattan. They were heading for their biggest target yet, the main Vorth supply depot in what used to be Central Park. 300 aliens worked there, guarded by 60 soldiers with heavy weapons. Remember, we're just desperate humans looking for food, Alex told his team. Hit fast, grab what we can and run. Make them think we're refugees, not military. Sam Foster checked her explosives. The charges are set for maximum confusion. It'll look like we accidentally triggered their ammunition storage. Janet, how long do you need with their computers? 5 minutes to plant the virus. 10 minutes to download their tactical data. You get 7 minutes total. After that, we're gone whether you're finished or not. The team emerged from a maintenance shaft inside the park's old visitor center. Through the walls, they could hear Vorth soldiers talking in their harsh language. Tomorrow night, those soldiers would learn that Earth was far from conquered. Mike Chen raised his hand and pointed toward the depot. Showtime. The real war was about to begin. Dr. Robert Chen stood in the underground laboratory beneath what used to be MIT. Around him, computer screens displayed thousands of lines of code that would soon change the course of the war. The virus he and his team had created was more than just a hacking program. It was a weapon that would turn the Vorth Empire's greatest strength against them. Final test complete, announced his assistant, Dr. Lucy Adams. The virus successfully infiltrated all target systems without triggering security protocols. The Vorth computers think it's part of their normal software. Robert nodded with satisfaction. How long until it spreads to their entire fleet? Based on current infection rates, approximately 72 hours. Every time they connect a new device to their network, the virus copies itself. Their own communication systems are helping us take control. 3 levels above, Maria Santos reviewed intelligence reports from around the globe. The resistance operations had been more successful than she had dared hope. Vorth forces were confused and frustrated, but they still believed they were fighting scattered survivors, rather than organized military units. Ma'am, we're ready for the big reveal, Ryan Carter said as he approached her command station. All resistance cells are in position. Captain Sullivan's fleet is standing by. The virus is deployed in 90% of Vorth systems. And our ace in the hole? Nicole Thompson looked up from her intelligence console. The main Vorth command ship just connected to the planetary network. Admiral Zek's flagship now has the virus in its primary computer core. When we activate it, we'll control their entire fleet. Maria felt a surge of excitement mixed with nervousness. Everything depended on the next few hours. If the plan worked, humanity would strike a blow that the galaxy would remember forever. If it failed, the 3 billion people hiding underground would become easy targets. Open a channel to Captain Sullivan, Maria ordered. Jake Sullivan was eating dinner in his quarters when Amy Foster's voice crackled through the intercom. Captain, urgent transmission from Earth. Colonel Santos wants to speak with you immediately. Jake rushed to the bridge where Maria's face appeared on the main screen. This time she looked different. Confident, determined, almost eager. Behind her, he could see a massive command center filled with people and equipment. "Jake, it's time for the truth," Maria began. "Earth didn't fall to the Vorth. We let them think they conquered us. For 2 months, we've been studying their tactics, mapping their positions, and infiltrating their computer systems. Tomorrow, we take our planet back." Jake stared at the screen in amazement. "Maria, what are you talking about?" "We saw the cities burning. The orbital platforms were destroyed. Special effects and careful planning. We evacuated every major city before the attack. The Vorth were shooting at empty buildings and holographic projections. 3 billion humans are alive and well in underground shelters that took us 2 years to build. That's impossible. The scale of such an operation was enormous, yes. But humans are good at enormous projects when our survival depends on it. Jake, I need your ships ready for combat in 18 hours. Can you do that without alerting Coalition Command?" Jake looked around his bridge crew. Lisa Park was grinning like a child on Christmas morning. Danny Rodriguez was already pulling up ship status reports. Amy Foster had tears in her eyes. "We'll be ready," Jake said. "But Maria, even with our ships and whatever forces you have on Earth, we're still outnumbered. The Vorth have 300 vessels in orbit. Not for much longer. Trust me, Jake. Just be ready when I give the signal." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge crew in excited discussion. Jake felt hope for the first time since the invasion began. Earth wasn't dead. Humanity wasn't finished. Tomorrow they would show the galaxy what humans could accomplish when they refused to surrender. Admiral Kate Morrison sat in her office at Coalition Command, reviewing reports from the Sol system. Vorth forces had been requesting increasing amounts of supplies and technical support. Equipment failures were reported daily. Communication disruptions were becoming common. The occupation was not going smoothly. "Interesting," she murmured as she read the latest intelligence summary. "The Vorth are having more trouble with a dead planet than they had conquering it." Her door chimed and Lieutenant Gary Webb entered with a priority message. "Ma'am, we're receiving a transmission on all frequencies. It's coming from Earth." Kate's blood went cold. "The Vorth?" "No, ma'am. It's human. A woman claiming to be Colonel Maria Santos of Earth Defense Command." Kate rushed to the main command center, where dozens of officers were gathering around the communication stations. The main screen showed a human woman in military uniform, standing in what appeared to be a sophisticated command center. "Attention, coalition forces and governments of the galaxy," Maria began. "I am Colonel Maria Santos, commanding Earth Defense Operations. For the past 2 months you have believed that Earth fell to the Vorth Empire. This was a carefully planned deception." Shocked murmurs filled the command center. The Zephyrian and Nexari representatives who had been present during the original invasion report stood transfixed. "Earth was not conquered," Maria continued. "We allowed the Vorth to believe they had won while we prepared the largest counteroffensive in galactic history. 3 billion humans are alive and ready to fight. Our cities were evacuated before the attack. Our defenses were intentionally shut down to lure the enemy into overconfidence." Kate felt her knees go weak. It couldn't be possible. The deception would require resources and coordination beyond anything attempted before. "In 6 hours, Earth will demonstrate that reports of humanity's death have been greatly exaggerated. The Vorth Empire came to strip mine a dead world. They will find themselves fighting for survival against a very much alive planet." The transmission shifted to show tactical displays and live feeds from around Earth. Human soldiers moved through tunnels beneath major cities. Weapons factories operated in hidden underground facilities. Millions of people lived in vast subterranean complexes that looked like entire cities built below ground. "The Vorth thought they conquered Earth in 3 days, Maria said as the camera returned to her. "They were wrong. They walked into a trap that took us 2 years to build. Tonight, they learned the price of underestimating humanity." The transmission ended, leaving the Coalition Command Center in stunned silence. Kate stared at the blank screen, trying to process what she had just seen. If Maria Santos was telling the truth, then humanity had pulled off the greatest military deception in galactic history. "Ma'am," Gary Webb said quietly, "long-range sensors are detecting increased activity in the Sol system. Multiple human ships are moving into attack positions." "Show me," Kate ordered. The tactical display revealed the truth. Human vessels that had been hiding in asteroid fields and gas giant atmospheres were emerging throughout the solar system. Ships that the Coalition thought were refugee transports were actually warships in disguise. The scattered survivors of Earth's defeat were forming into attack formations around the Vorth fleet. "Count them," Kate whispered. 147 ships, ma'am. Everything from destroyers to battle cruisers. They've been hiding out there for 2 months. Kate shook her head in amazement. While the galaxy mourned humanity's death, the humans had been preparing the ultimate surprise attack. The species known for never giving up had outdone themselves. Get me a direct line to Admiral Torres at Fleet Command, Kate ordered. Tell her to prepare all available ships for immediate deployment to Earth. If the humans are really about to take on the Vorth Empire, they're going to need all the help they can get. But as she watched the tactical display, Kate began to suspect that humanity might not need as much help as she thought. Maria Santos stood at the center of her command post, surrounded by displays showing the entire solar system. Every Vorth ship, every ground position, every supply route was marked in red on her screens. 2 years of planning had led to this moment. Operation Lazarus was about to begin. All units report ready, Ben Hayes announced from his coordination station. Ground teams are in position at every major Vorth installation. Fleet units are moving to attack coordinates. The virus is active in enemy computer systems. Orbital defense platforms coming online, Nicole Thompson added. The Vorth think they destroyed them, but we just shut them down and hid them. All weapons are charged and ready. Maria took a deep breath. In the next hour, humanity would either reclaim their homeworld or reveal themselves to be slaughtered. But she felt confident. The Vorth had made every mistake she had hoped for. They were comfortable, overconfident, and completely unprepared for what was coming. Activate the virus, she ordered. Dr. Robert Chen pressed a single key on his computer. Instantly, chaos erupted aboard every Vorth ship in the solar system. Their navigation systems began reporting false positions. Weapon targeting computers started malfunctioning. Communication arrays switched to random frequencies. The aliens found themselves fighting their own technology. Enemy vessels are experiencing massive system failures, reported a technician. Their entire fleet is dead in space. Good. Begin surface operations. All across Earth, resistance teams emerged from hidden tunnels and struck simultaneously. Sergeant Alex Parker led his squad out of the subway system beneath New York, where 60 Vorth soldiers were trying to understand why their equipment had stopped working. They never saw the humans coming. Charges set, Sam Foster whispered as her team planted explosives around the alien supply depot. 30 seconds. The Vorth command post in Times Square vanished in a massive explosion. Similar blasts occurred in London, Tokyo, Sydney, and 30 other cities around the world. Every major alien installation was destroyed within minutes of each other. In space, Captain Jake Sullivan watched his tactical display with amazement. The Vorth fleet hung motionless in orbit, their ships drifting helplessly as internal systems fought against the virus. His communications officer, Amy Foster, was receiving targeting data from Earth's hidden defense network. All ships, this is Captain Sullivan, Jake announced on the fleet frequency. Earth defense has given us the greatest gift in military history. Enemy fleet is disabled and defenseless. All units engage at will. The human fleet opened fire. Missiles and energy beams struck Vorth ships that couldn't dodge, couldn't return fire, and couldn't even call for help. The aliens who had come to strip mine a dead world found themselves being systematically destroyed by the planet's very much alive defenders. Lisa Park coordinated the fighter squadrons. Gold Squadron target the command ship. Silver Squadron hit their carriers. Bronze Squadron sweep the escorts. Human fighters swarmed between the disabled Vorth vessels like angry insects. The aliens' superior technology meant nothing when their computers were working against them. Ships that had terrorized dozens of star systems were reduced to floating scrap metal in minutes. Engineer Danny Rodriguez monitored the battle from his station. Captain, sensors show the Vorth are trying to activate emergency systems. Some ships are attempting manual overrides. Too little, too late, Jake replied. Amy, signal Earth defense. Tell them the orbital battle is almost finished. On the planet's surface, Maria Santos coordinated the ground war with ruthless efficiency. Every Vorth position had been mapped during the occupation. Every patrol route was known. Every weakness was catalogued. The aliens faced an enemy that knew exactly where they were and how to destroy them. Report from ground commanders, Ryan Carter announced. New York operation complete. London successful. Tokyo confirms enemy elimination. All major installations are secured. Casualty report? Minimal on our side. The Vorth were caught completely off guard. Most didn't even have time to reach their weapons. Maria felt a moment of grim satisfaction. The Vorth Empire was known for showing no mercy to conquered populations. Today they were learning what it felt like to be on the receiving end of overwhelming force. "Ma'am, we're receiving transmissions from Vorth ships trying to escape the system," Nicole reported. "They're calling for reinforcements and reporting a massive human uprising. Jam their communications. I don't want word getting out until we're ready. How many enemy ships are still operational? 17 out of 300. They're trying to reach the edge of the solar system, but our ships are pursuing. Let a few escape. I want the Vorth Empire to know exactly what happened here. But make sure they understand this was just the beginning." Admiral Kate Morrison watched the battle unfold from Coalition Command with growing amazement. The humans weren't just winning. They were dominating completely. The Vorth fleet, which had seemed invincible just hours before, was being methodically destroyed by an enemy they thought they had eliminated. "Ma'am, Earth Defense is transmitting again," Gary Webb announced. Maria Santos appeared on the main screen, but this time she stood on Earth's surface. Behind her, human soldiers could be seen raising flags over what had been Vorth command posts. The sky above showed burning alien ships falling through the atmosphere. "People of the galaxy," Maria began, "Earth stands free. The Vorth occupation is ended. Their fleet is destroyed. Their ground forces are eliminated. The empire that thought it could conquer humanity has learned that humans don't surrender, even when the odds seem impossible." The camera pulled back to show a wider view. Millions of humans were emerging from underground shelters, cheering and celebrating in the streets of cities the galaxy thought had been destroyed. Children who had lived for months in hidden complexes were seeing sunlight again. Families were reuniting after the longest separation in human history. "But this is not just about Earth," Maria continued. "The Vorth Empire has terrorized the galaxy for too long. They have destroyed worlds, enslaved populations, and shown no mercy to anyone who opposed them. Today that ends. Humanity is taking the fight to them." The tactical display changed to show human ships moving beyond Earth's solar system. Fleet formations that had been hidden throughout human space were revealing themselves. What the galaxy thought was a handful of refugee vessels was actually a massive armada that had been preparing for this moment. "We spent 2 years planning this operation," Maria explained. "Not just to save Earth, but to begin the liberation of every world the Vorth have conquered. Our ships are already moving toward their core systems. Their computer networks are compromised throughout their empire. The virus we used here is spreading to every Vorth installation in the galaxy." Kate Morrison felt a chill run down her spine. The humans hadn't just survived the invasion. They had turned it into the opening move of their own war against the Vorth Empire. "Ma'am," an aide whispered, "the Nexari Council is requesting immediate emergency session. They want to discuss full military alliance with Earth." "So do the Zephyrians," added another officer, "and the Centauran Federation. Everyone wants to join the human offensive." On the screen, Maria Santos concluded her message. "To our allies in the coalition, we welcome your support in this fight. To the Vorth Empire, we offer the same mercy you showed to every world you conquered. To the galaxy, we promise that humanity will not rest until every enslaved population is free." The transmission ended with images of human ships jumping to faster-than-light speed, heading for Vorth territory. Earth, the world that was supposed to be dead, had become the command center for a galactic liberation campaign. Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge of the Defiance as his ship joined the fleet heading for the first Vorth stronghold. Around him, coalition vessels were falling into formation alongside human ships. The galaxy that had mourned Earth's death was now following its lead into battle. "Set course for the Vorth system Kepler 442, Jake ordered. "It's time to show the rest of the galaxy what happens when you underestimate humanity." Behind them, Earth turned slowly in space, very much alive and ready for war. The final line that Maria Santos had drawn wasn't the end of human resistance. It was the beginning of human victory.